Hello students, in the yesterday's session when we started the third unit about JavaScript, we have seen a few concepts and one among them was the math object. So example on the math object is there in this program. So have a look at the document here. So the document you can see directly we start with here the HTML tag followed by the body section. So in the body section we are familiar with this heading tag, then followed by, since we are making use of JavaScript code, we need to include the script tag, the opening script tag and the closing script tag, and within that we shall have our different code. Now the first function that we have for the math object is the round function. So as the name indicates that this particular function is going to return the value of x rounded to its nearest integer. You can see here in the comments, returns the value of x rounded to its nearest integer. So this particular math.round function takes a single parameter, any numeric value. Now, how does it calculate or how does it return 4 here? So what it is going to do is, we have studied this concept in school. Like if the decimal value is less than 0.5, it will be rounded to the lowest integer, that is 4. If the value of after the decimal part, if it is going to be 5 and above, then it will be rounded to the next highest integer, that is it will become 5. Now that is why, since here we have 4.4 and this 0.4 is less than 5, it is going to be approximated to the lowest integer value, that is going to be 4. Now observe the way I have written here, directly made use of document.write. Okay, so document.write will again, what is going to do, like we have seen yesterday, is going to help us to display the output on the browser window. So within this, I have directly taken the math.round function. Another possible way would be to take another variable and let that variable store the result of this and then pass that variable in this document.write. Next line, we know this, what the br tag does. The br tag will help us to take the cursor or like just works like a slash n. So basically br is going to act like slash n here, a new line. Then the next one, we have another function called as seal. This function also takes a single parameter, that is an integer value. So what is this? How is this going to return, or what will it return? So it returns the value of x rounded up to its nearest integer. So now you may be confused, like both the definitions of math.round and math.seal are same. Now there is a difference. So what is the difference here? When I told you about math.round, I said that if you have the decimal value greater than 0.5, that is 0.5 and above, so that is going to round up to its highest integer. If it is below 5, it will round up to its nearest integer, the lowest value. Okay, before I explain seal, let's just see the output of this, the first one. So here you can see the output is 4. Suppose instead of 4.4, I make it as 4.6. So now you can see the value has been updated to its highest next value, the highest integer, that is 5. So whenever the decimal part is going to be greater than 5, that is 5 and greater than 5, it is going to round to its highest integer. If it is low, it will round up to its lowest integer. So it was 4.4. Now coming to the seal function, as you need to understand this in very simple terms, understand that seal resembles the ceiling. So ceiling is something which is above the head, which is on top. So what this is going to do is, it will round up to its highest value. So here the distinction of whether the decimal part is below 5 or above 5 does not matter. It will round it up to its highest integer, up to its highest integer. The keyword here is rounded up to its highest integer. So you can see the output here, the output is 5. Next thing, the opposite of the seal function. The opposite of the seal function is the floor function. So the floor is something which is below our feet. is going to be down. So what is the definition for this? Returns the value of x rounded down to its nearest integer. So you can see here the parameter that is passed is 4.9. Even though the decimal part here 0.9, which is above 0.5, still it is going to be rounded down to the down value, which is going to be 4. Let's have a look here at output. So here you can see it's rounded down. Next function that we have after the floor, we have the function called as trunc, trunc. So this particular function is going to cut off or going to truncate the decimal part, and it will just return the whole integer. And the last one that we have is the power. So the power of function will basically act like trying to raise it. This first, it takes two parameters. First one is the x value, second is the y value. So how it works? X raised to y. So it is going to be 8 raised to 2, which is 64. And the two parameters are separated by comma. So we can have a look at the output here. This is for the truncate function and this is for the power function. Likewise, you have some more functions like square root, sine, cos, tan for the math object. Now, after this, we'll proceed with another part in JavaScript, that is the date object. Similar to the math object, this date object also has certain functions which will help us to get the current date, current time, or current month, and so on. Now here you can see the 4 ways in which this date object is created. Basically, you need to remember that with the help of the new keyword, we will create any object in JavaScript. So you can see here the 4 different ways. So this question could be asked for 2 marks. One is just the date without any parameters. The second one takes these 7 parameters, year, month, day, hours, and so on. Then you have milliseconds, which is going to return the number of milliseconds passed since Jan 1st. And this is going to be the date string. Now we will not see the last one, but the first 3 we shall see, and some more examples on the date object. Again, in the JavaScript, so we'll directly move to JavaScript as you're now familiar with the HTML part here. So in the JavaScript, observe, first have a look at the definition here. What this date object is going to do, it's going to create a new date object with the current date and time. Okay, now you need to understand here, instead of making use of var, the word const is used. Const indicates that it is a constant. It means that the value cannot be changed. Okay, so that is why we have said const. Then directly again in the document.write, this particular d is going to be passed. Now this d is going to return to you the current date and time. After that, I've given a comma, followed by you have 2 br tags in double quotes. Br basically are HTML tags, and we are trying to use them in JavaScript as a new line character. So you need to put it in double quotes, and one br will indicate a single /n. I needed 2, so we have made use of 2, which are separated by commas, and then this followed by a semicolon. Let's have a look at the first one. The output at the first one here, the date object. Now here you can see it is returning you the current date and time, right, along with the parameters like the today's day, the month, right. Now followed by this is today's date, current year, followed by the time. Now you need to observe that here the time is ticking continuously, but when you make use of the date object, here it is going to remain as a constant. So if you want the updated value, you will just have to refresh this, and then the value gets updated. Next one we have is again the date, but this time with different parameters. The 7 parameters in the following order, they are year. I have passed the month, which is the 11th month, then day, that is the date, followed by the hour, minute, and this is the second, and last one is the millisecond. So that these two now here, you can see the order is pretty much the same. But the first one returns the current date and time, whereas the second one is are the values that I have passed. Third one, now another thing to show you here is observe the method here. Instead of writing document dot write, I have made use of document dot write ln. Now, what is a write ln? The ln here indicates that automatically /n will be appended. But if you observe the output here, okay, this is the second one, second date object, and this is for the third one, starting from this one. It should have been on the next line when we use dot write ln. But since what happens is whenever document.writeln is used and in the JavaScript, the browser tries to ignore that /n whenever it reads the code. So basically it will not affect the output. So if you want to take it on the next line, preferable option would be do not use this because it is not going to show any effect in the output. You write it, make use of document.write and followed by comma and then just give the BR tag. So this would be a better way instead of going for document.writeln. Third one, we have the method as get time. Okay, so this returns the number of milliseconds. But from when does it return number of milliseconds? Since Jan 1st, 1970. So how many milliseconds have passed since Jan 1st, 1970? That is going to be displayed with this get time. So let me refresh this. So now you can see these many number of milliseconds are over since Jan 1st, 1970. Then we have get full year. So this is very simple, that returns the year of a date as a 4-digit number. So the current year is going to be returned. So the current year is 2021. Then the last one we have is the get month. Now this get month method returns the month of a date as a number ranging from 0 to 11. Now whenever we make use of this get month method, we need to understand that it returns it works up till n-1. Okay, so if I say get month, I always need to make use of +1 to get the correct output. So if you observe here, the current month we are is in August, so it should return 8. So if I do not include this +1, the get month will only return me 7. So if the correct output we need, we'll have to make use of +1. So you also need to observe which are the different ways in which you can include the /n. You can have 2 different set of statements for the BR tag or include it with separated by commas in double quotes. So this is the example for the date object. The next topic that we have is the dialog box. Now we have made use of document.write. So document.write helped us to display the output on the browser screen in a simple way. Now we also have 3 different ways, that is we can generate the dialog boxes in JavaScript. Dialog boxes are basically those small pop-ups which come up with the OK button or the cancel button or both. So which are the 3 ways in which we can have the window dialog boxes? So one is called as alert, one is called as confirm, and one is called as prompt. Now, what is the difference between these 3? So the first one, the alert method. So what is the alert method? It displays an alert box with a specified message. That is, whatever message you have given, with that message it is going to be displayed, and you will also have an OK button for that dialog box. Now what is the syntax for this? This is a function, this is a method. So this method just takes one parameter, and that parameter is nothing but your message. Okay, now you need to remember the differences between these 3. So the alert method comes with a message and just an OK button. There is no cancel button for this. Let's see the example for this. Okay. Again, directly in the body section of the HTML code, the JavaScript tag is included. Now I have commented 2 of the things here. Let's have a look at the first one. First one is the alert keyword or the alert function. The alert function, as per the syntax, just takes one parameter. The parameter is your message. So the message that I have given here, you can see, is in double quotes. Okay. So if I run this program, you can see here, this is alert box. This is the pop-up that we are getting. And it just has one button, that is OK. So this is how the alert window or the alert box works. Second one we have is the confirm method. The confirm method again is similar to your alert in terms of the number of parameters that it takes. It just takes one single parameter again, that is the message. But the confirm method comes with two things now. It comes with the OK button and comes with the cancel button. So let's see how it works. Now, since confirm, as the name indicates, that you can ask the user through your messages, and you can wait for the confirmation or you can wait for the cancellation. So you can see here, suppose imagine that you had a file and you're trying to download it. So the question is what I've declared a variable and the variable name is question, that is QUES. This is the method. Now what am I trying to do is I'm trying to ask the user, do you want to continue? So if the user says okay, that particular answer is going to be stored in this variable and followed by his option, what he has given, yes or no. The rest of the code or the rest of the processing for that page can be done. So let's see the output for this. So now you can see it is asking, do you want to continue? I have two options here based on what the user clicks, right? The respective actions, the following actions or the following processing can be done. Now, since we do not have any code here, this is just the simple demonstration. Whether I click OK or whether I click cancel will not make any difference. Then the last one we have is the prompt method. So this prompt method displays a dialog box that prompts the visitor for input. So what is going to happen? The prompt message or the prompt dialog box will come with an input box. Okay, so the prompt basically comes with an input box and you can enter your input inside it, inside that particular prompt box. That is why the name is prompt. It is prompting the user for input. What is the syntax for this? You can again have a text. All this default text is optional. So if you want to have some additional parameters, this is optional. That is a default text. Let's have a look at the example for this. Now, when I say prompt, a text box is going to be prompted. So in that, what should be entered in the text box is based on this question. So I'm asking, what is your name? Whatever the user inputs the name, that is going to be stored in this variable called as name. So you can see here, this is the message that I had passed in the prompt method. So another one, that is the default text. If you want some more additional messages, you can add up, but that is optional then. So this is the text box that automatically the prompt dialog box or the prompt window allows you. So now if I enter my name here, that will be stored in the variable name. Followed by, again, I have two options. I can click OK or I can click cancel. So these three are the important JavaScript window dialog boxes, and you can expect questions on these in your exams. Now, after this, the very easy concepts which come in all programming languages are the switch cases. That is basically the conditional statements. You have looping statements, the branching statements. All these are also going to be there in JavaScript, and the syntax is very much similar. So the first one we'll have a look at is the switch case. What is the syntax for this? You make use of the switch keyword and followed by one expression here for the testing and followed by the different case blocks, and each case will be ending with a colon, and after that you will have the respective code block and a break keyword and also one default case. So you can see the syntax is pretty much same. You have different cases and a default case which end with colon, which again end with the entire thing that ending with these parentheses, beginning with these parentheses, right? So these are the this is the syntax for the switch case. Now after this, let's have a look at the looping statements, that is the while, for, and the do while. So observe the syntax here. Again, pretty much similar to your conventional programming languages. The while keyword, the condition to be tested, and if it is true, the code of block to be executed. Coming to the for loop, the first one initial expression, then you have the control expression till where the loop should be executed, followed by either increment or decrement expression. And again, the code of block to be executed. Then we have do while. You have the do keyword and the while keyword, but the condition here is going to be tested towards the end of the loop. So what is going to happen? This is an exit controlled loop. So at least once the code of block will be executed. Now, since we have studied the basics of the JavaScript, let's move to one journal program, the fifth journal program, which is develop and demonstrate XHTML file that includes JavaScript for receiving a number n as input and outputting first in Fibonacci numbers. So if we understand this, we need to write a JavaScript and an XHTML document. Now, since we have studied the different ways in which the window dialog boxes work, we can make use of the prompt window dialog box since it provides us with a text box. We can ask the user to enter the number for which the Fibonacci series has to be generated, and whatever the number is entered by the user, based on that we will process or we will code and will try to generate and print the output on the browser. So now you all are familiar with the Fibonacci numbers. So let's understand the coding part here in HTML. So have a look here. The document is going to be saved as .html. Okay. Within the HTML, we will make use of the script tag, and inside that we shall write our JavaScript code. So now, since it is a journal program, we can include the head section, the title section, give a proper title saying Fibonacci series. Then if you want to have any other headings or you want to have any other CSS part, that is to beautify the browser screen, you can also do that. Now in the body section, I have included one simple CSS, that is style, and I have given the background color for my entire browser screen, and the background color is orange. So since I have included this CSS property applied it to the body element, the entire screen window is going to be taken up. Then one heading tag here. So if you want, you can align this in the center. Then within this script tag, now the important part is the Java code. So I'm sure that you already know what is Fibonacci series. You have studied this in the previous semesters. So I will not concentrate on that part. We'll see the syntax and how we can make use of JavaScript. Now what I'm going to do is I will declare 3 variables. So we have to remember that when we declare variables in JavaScript, we need not write the primitive types. We need not use int, float, boolean or string. We can directly make use of a general term, that is var, which stands for variable, followed by any variable name. So, right? So I have declared here variable 1, which is initialized to 0, another variable 2, which is initialized to 1. Since Fibonacci series will begin from 0 and then will proceed, so we have initialized these two things. So then another variable 3. So why variable 3? Because we know that to generate the Fibonacci series, we will have to add variable 1 and variable 2, and the result of that is going to be stored in variable 3. Then I have taken another variable called as num. So what this num is going to store? This num will store the input that is entered by the user in the prompt box. So if the user says generate Fibonacci series for 5 numbers, so the value 5, the value of num is going to be 5 there. Now since they have told us to accept the input from the user, we are going to make use of a prompt dialog box. And this prompt dialog box, comes with a input box. So the message that we prompt for the user is enter the limit to generate Fibonacci number or the Fibonacci series. Now we are going to check certain conditions. Okay, so I have taken two string variables here. Message1 and message2 are the two string variables. Now message1 is initialized to hold the string invalid input and message2 is initialized to hold you have entered a string, please enter integer value. So what are these two messages? Suppose the user enters a number, okay, he enters a number which is less than 0. So the generating from negative, he enters a negative number. So generating a Fibonacci series will not be possible. So we will say invalid input. Another possibility, what if the user enters characters or alphabets? He does not enter an integer value. So that time we are going to prompt message2. So message2 is you have entered a string. Now another way would be instead of you initializing this message1 and message2, you can directly pass this entire string invalid input in this alert dialog box. Even that is possible. Now, first we start with the if condition. So in the if condition, we are checking if the value entered by the user is less than or equal to 0. So if it is less than or equal to 0, let's prompt the user with the message invalid input. So what is the another way? Let me comment this here. And we will, instead of saying message1, we will write invalid input. So alert is another part of the window dialog box. Second thing, else if, now there is a new concept here, that is NaN. So is NaN is provided by JavaScript to check the basically whatever in that, like it takes just one parameter. So whatever this parameter in this program is the thing which we are accepting from the user, that is a number. So we are trying to check that whatever is entered by the user, if it is not a number, is not a legal number, is not an integer, then we need to give an alert saying you have entered string and you have not entered number. So you can see that is NaN basically stands for is not a number. So that function will help you to check whether whatever parameter you're passing, whether it is a number or not. So if it is a number, it returns true, and if it is not a number, it returns false. Next thing, another condition we check, that is, what if the user has entered the number as 1? Then we can generate the Fibonacci series, right? So only one, the output is going to be just 1, that is 0, just one Fibonacci series. So we are writing document.write and the Fibonacci series is, now you can see here the text is written in double quotes, then comma. Now what is this and NBSP? This is a space or a tab, like you make use of /t, the tab width. So here for space, we'll make use of in double quotes ampersand NBSP. So likewise, I need two spaces. So two NBSPs I have used, comma. So whenever the user has entered the number as 1, we need to just generate one Fibonacci series, that is 0. Now, apart from this, if the user enters any other numbers, we are going to calculate the Fibonacci series. So here in the else part, we can see that again we have written the Fibonacci series is comma, again in double quotes, a /n, that is a BR tag for /n. So you can observe here another way of writing the BR tag. We can also write like this, or we can just include the BR without the slash. Even the slash can come before B. So there are multiple ways in which the BR tag can be written. Then followed by, first we need definitely to print the first Fibonacci series, that is 0 and 1. We need to print those values. So we have initialized the variable 1 and variable 2 to 0 and 1 respectively, and that is what we are printing. And Another way here you can see, instead of giving comma, we have appended. We have given a plus symbol, that is for concatenation. That is, after that we have the slash n, the BR tag rather. Then we need to generate after printing 0 and after printing 1, we need to generate the rest of the Fibonacci series. And for that, we'll make use of the loop, that is a for loop. So here you can see that I need not declare this variable I at the beginning. Since JavaScript is dynamically typed, directly within this loop, I can make use of the keyword var and start with the loop initialization or the variable initialization here. Then the loop is going to run up till where? Up till the num value, whatever the user has asked us. Suppose the user says till 5, so I will run up till less than or equal to 5. And then the increment operator. So these are again separated by semicolons, just like your normal programming convention. Now we have seen that we have declared the variable 3 there, and because we need to generate the Fibonacci series, we will have to regularly, as the loop proceeds, we will have to add variable 1 and variable 2. The result will be stored in variable 3, and with the help of document.write, we shall print it on the screen. Then for each generated variable 3, we'll print it on the next line, so we make use of a BR tag. And the next part we know is we have to assign or we have to update the variable 1 with the variable 2's value, and the variable 2 has to be updated with the variable 3's value. So this is, I'm sure that you are aware of this logic. The only thing to understand here is how we can write this program or how we can implement this in JavaScript. So let's have a look at the output here. So you can see here, the title is getting displayed Fibonacci series, and the prompt window has come up with this text box which says enter the limit to generate the Fibonacci number. Now, let me write as first one. Let us check if the user has entered a negative number. I'll say -6 and I'll say okay. You can see you get invalid input. Okay, and nothing is going to be displayed. So you can see the entire browser window since we have applied the background color as orange, and a heading tag, h2 tag, that is also displayed. Let me refresh again. Now let me enter a string. So again an alert window comes up which says you have entered a string. Now let me enter the digit 1. So you can see the first one value, that is first Fibonacci number, is getting printed. Now if I enter a proper input num as 5, you see 5 Fibonacci series are generated. Another, if we just say cancel, so it is going to give me here as invalid input. So for the journal program, you can just try to handle this particular part, and when we click on the cancel, you can handle it in a proper way. What if the user enters cancel instead of just saying okay? What message should be displayed? So that you can try to do modification for this particular journal program.